Hi, how is everyone?
Good. We're just going to read the principles. Are you happy to be number 5?
Yeah.
You see? Yep.
I've always wanted to be number 5.
You're going to have to move rooms.
Yes, you've landed, Julie.
Number 5 is alive.
Okay, here we go.
Let's go.
The purpose of the mastermind is to learn leadership, build teams, and create multiple sources of income together.
Oh, Tony's moving rooms.
Oh, Tony's going to be really sweet to me, I think, or else he's going to a dark dungeon. I don't know which.
He's going to where he can hear the sound of the computer.
Rain.
Sorry, it was raining so hard I couldn't hear.
Oh, geez.
We're here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
Julie.
We are is it 5?
Yes.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings. Hopefully.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, sorry. We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during meeting.
Use the force.
We are real and authentic. This is an OBS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces, one mind, one soul, one love.
Noble Goldman International is a conscious, aware, and engaged global community of abundance and freedom creators.
Our mission is to create 1 million millionaires who are free from the time for money paradigm. We focus on creating multiple streams of income through masterminding, team building, and the effective utilization of the internet-based platforms.
The mastermind becomes an opportunity for self-mastery, where the self-transcendent shift from the me to the we to the us occurs. As congruence and engagement increases, the world's consciousness is then raised one meaningful and inspired relationship at a time.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
So today, I was thinking about how so far and what we've been talking about with relationships, and it all comes back to ourselves and showing up differently so that our relationships actually transform as well. And in that, it made me think about what makes me happy? How do I create happiness? And how do we create happiness? I'd like to just have a think about that while I tell you a little bit more about why I think this is so important. Through the abundance game, there are such awesome tools, and I've been setting goals and setting milestones to reach the goals and getting huge success from it, more success than I think I've ever had with setting goals. And then there's a section when you've reached your milestone that you reward yourself. And I've asked this question in a few of the groups as well about how do you actually set a reward for yourself? And a lot of them come up as actually either something else to do, so it actually becomes another goal, or it's self-care. And for me, self-care is not a reward, it's a non-negotiable. Self-care just has to happen. So how do you set a reward? And for me, it's like it has to be something that brings me joy, something that really energizes me. So I thought it was probably pretty important to work on what creates happiness in our lives. And I was reading an article as well, but I'll talk about that towards the end because it had some pretty interesting insights, and I'd like to find out what everyone else's insights are first. So Gary, what do you think about happiness and creating happiness?
It was really interesting when you said your happiness is things that energize you. And mine's just the opposite. My happiness is when I can stop and still myself and generally be in nature with the one I love and do nothing. Simply absorb and take in the beauty. Like one of my most happiest moments is when Robert and we go to Santa Fe to our house in Pecos. And every morning after breakfast, we drive to the National Monument, which is the old ruins of one of the most ancient pueblos in the Southwest of the Native Americans. And there's an old, kind of deteriorating but still intact church there that the Spanish built when they invaded the native country. And then lots of different Native American ruins. It's got 360-degree views of nothing but forests and snow-topped mountains. And so we go there and we just sit. And it is like the most beautiful, peaceful time for me. And that's my happiness. When I'm not talking, I'm not listening to anyone. I'm simply absorbed in nature with the person I feel the most connected to in the world. And that is, that's happiness for me. Stillness.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to set a reward for yourself, what would it be for you?
It would be, this is going to sound very doable and very small, but it would be going to the tea house on Canyon Road, having a cup of chamomile coconut milk, a cinnamon drink, and having an incredible meal outside under the lights and the fruit trees at the tea house on the top of Canyon Road in Santa Fe. After, of course, I spent a lot of time at the monument and not talk much, That would be my idea of a reward. I used to do that when I would have a very successful training and I would go to a really great restaurant that I loved their food. And I would order, like 2 entrees and a couple desserts. And I would just feed myself things that I absolutely love. And I would always be by myself and just celebrating internally. So yeah, that's how I do it.
Beautiful. Anybody else want to share how they create happiness and how they would reward themselves? Julie, you're muted.
Tony's unmuted. Oh.
And quiet.
Very quiet.
But Julie's got something to say. Let's go.
Yeah, I already said it, but nobody heard it. I didn't. Right at this time, I don't know whether you know, we're big into the middle of grief because my daughter-in-law's mother died on Monday evening, and so we're here going through all the grieving process, which is an interesting state to be in, but I've still come on because I think it's really important to take care of me too. Mm-hmm. But I think too, you don't want to make these things too much. You just make them enough that they are really something to enjoy, and I thought yours was wonderful, Gary. I would like that too, because food to me is always a special treat. So I love to reward myself with lovely foods too, but also, and I guess this is bordering on self-care as well, but a wonderful massage. I put my back out on Monday, because I was looking after the little one for them while they went and stayed with their mum, and held her hand and things, and I put my back out. So I was trying to change nappies on a couch twisted in my back. So right now, I can't think of anything more to reward myself than a massage. Yeah.
Awesome.
But I love the sound of yours, Gary. Really nice.
Thanks.
I love to be out in nature too. And here in New Zealand, one thing that really, really fills my right directly to the heart is the New Zealand bird song. And I haven't been anywhere in the world where it is so beautiful as it is here. And quite different from anywhere else. So that always brings joy. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Julie. Who else would like to share how they create happiness?
If Tony's not going next, oh, he is? Okay.
Okay, well, you go first, Colleen.
Oh, no, it's just you were unmuted, so I thought you must be going, but I'm checking. I'll go next. Ladies first. I'm a bit like Gary and Julie. I love Mother Nature. Like that's my happy place. Like I love watching the sunset, and if I get up early enough, the sunrise, because the beauty is unbelievably out of this world. Like every day it changes, every sunset's different. You can wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it's totally different colors. Like it's just stunning. Or a rainbow. If there's a rainbow, I could stand out there for 20 minutes just watching until it disappears. Like that's my happy place, because my inner child just loves beauty, and so do I. Like it's like we meet in the middle and enjoy the presence of that, and just being one with Mother Nature, like the power in being one with Mother Nature and present with her. I stood in a rainbow once, so it was like nothing on earth, and I knew I was in a rainbow as it came over. I was on a hilltop and then I got home, and the news reported this double rainbow where I'd been standing. So I knew I'd been in the double rainbow, but yeah, that was amazing. And I had no fear, which is what I really appreciated about the experience as well, because normally my mum would have been in my ear saying, you're in the middle of a cloud with rain, and because it was gently raining on me. It was just incredible. Anyways, but I didn't go into fear this day. Like normally I would have, like mum would have said, get in the car, there's a huge storm. And I just stood in the rainbow. Like, anyways, I just love connection. Like I guess for me, it's about connection. So I'm also in the stillness piece, like just sitting in connection. Like that's why I love doing energy work and healings, because as soon as I connect to the Holy Spirit or the universal energy, whatever you want to call it, I go into joy myself. Like that's my joy place. Like if I could sit in that 24/7, I'd be not human. I'd be heaven on earth. Like that's it.
Overjoyed.
Yeah, it's the blissful connection of being one with everything.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Beautiful, Carly.
Beautiful.
Tony, can you follow that?
Well, I've been thinking about how to say this, and it sounds like a cliche, but I'll just say it, is that I am happiness. My life is happiness. So I do relate to what you're asking, V, because if I want something, I usually go and get it. It's, you know, we have the kind of life, Joe and I, where we determined when we got together that our life is all about happiness. It's definitely, I relate to where we live. We've set it up where we live, where we are surrounded by nature. I can sit outside there and listen to the birds tweeting all day. Love watching the sunsets. But we have the sort of lifestyle where we are dining out a lot anyway. Our life is filled with experiences and adventures. We're always planning something. You know, I refer to Joe as my social secretary, because we constantly have things on the go. And it just feels like our life just is happiness. So I don't have to go and sort of consciously create it. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I thank the universe. And like this morning, there was just the beautiful sky, remnants of the sunrise still on there. And, you know, when you're surrounded by nature, it feels calming and feels like just joy to start with. So, yeah, I've thought about that too with setting milestones, or this might sound a bit corny, but I see the happiness is actually in the journey towards the things that you've challenged yourself to achieve. And I suppose when I do achieve them, I just go on to setting the next thing. So it's just probably just a series of trying to find ways to keep on improving.
Awesome.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I agree, Tony, that I tend to do that as well. And that's kind of why I'm actually liking setting the milestone, is because I used to reach my goals and then just what's next. And this has made me stop and just go, it's time to appreciate what I've just, you know, and appreciate myself for actually getting this far. So, yeah. But
I am appreciating it as I'm going. That's the thing. So it's like I'm challenged with that too. So what do I give myself for some sort of milestone reward? Because
you are
it feels like we're always doing it anyway.
Yeah. Yes, and sometimes it feels like I know when you suggested that as a milestone reward to reward yourself with a trip, but for me a trip is the goal. So that's like it is another goal. So I don't want to make that a reward. It's something to achieve or something to celebrate doing. Miss Carly.
I was just going to say, what if the reward is the experience? Like experience, like you've got an intention, I guess that's an intention, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
Just thinking the experience during, but if it's a goal and an experience and an outcome, but instead bring it into the joy of the experience as you go along, and the outcome then doesn't matter.
So it's almost as well what Gary was saying, it's that moment of stillness where you can just appreciate and be
just
grateful.
enjoy it.
Yeah. That's cool. Wonder, is Stan around, or have you had to deal with the madness of children in the morning? I think he's dealing with.
It looks like babies have won out.
Yes.
Can I just add something to that, because I think that was a really good point then, is that when you're experiencing something, like say for instance that you talked about the trip is the goal, right? Well, the trip might be the goal, but there are moments within that goal when like for instance, we had a trip to the Red Centre just recently to Uluru, and there were so many moments during that weekend where that was the reward. Like we were watching the sunrise or the sunset over Uluru, and we're sort of pinching ourselves like this is the reward. This is the moment. It was the goal, but it was also the reward, because you were just surrounded by such magnificent nature that just pausing to reflect on what you were witnessing, I think was the key component to it. Or even, you know, like in the picture in my background there, we did a river cruise with some friends the other day, where just being on the ocean and on the river and stopping to notice how lucky are we, like how great is this life, you know? And I think it's rather than having some kind of artificial thing that you've got to give yourself as a reward, it's just the reward is to be present and just to notice what's around you.
Nice. Stan, you back? No, kind of.
I just wanted to say, Tony, also, I so relate to that, because once I did winter solstice right in the middle of Stonehenge, when you could go in surrounded by druids all dressed up, and I can remember when the sun actually broke through the main stones and we were right in the circle and the sun hit my eyes, you know, I can still to this day feel, and it was freezing cold, we were absolutely freezing because it was winter, but I can still, and you're actually making a memory that you can call on whenever you need to, whenever you are feeling sad, by really taking in that particular moment. It's lovely. Thank you for sharing that.
I think that
I've heard a lot about uru. What is it? Uru.
I think that there's something else to be said about celebrating the wins, because I know when I've taught goal setting, that part of the steps is that you have to recognize that you actually achieved it. And in that moment, that's when you do whatever celebratory thing that works for you. But that's when you sit back, and for me, of course, it's reflection time, it's getting still, it's contemplating the journey I went through and what I'm achieving, and whatever small thing I've achieved, to celebrate it. Because if we're not giving ourselves positive anchors or positive associations to the wins, then the winning or obtaining whatever the experience is, whether it's a physical goal or experiential goal, starts to kind of lose its magic a bit because we're not celebrating it. So I found that definitely for myself is that if I would have a great training, let's say, and twice as many people showed up for it that I was expecting, and so it was not only a spiritually rewarding time, but a financially rewarding time, and I didn't celebrate that, then when it happened again, then it would I wouldn't recognize it even. So I'm a big fan of doing some form of a ceremony. Ceremonies always impregnate the subconscious mind the best and the most powerfully. That's why all the native peoples always had an oral tradition, and they gave their oral tradition in stories, because it wasn't written, because it wasn't for the conscious mind, it was for the subconscious mind. And that was a much more powerful way to hand down their traditions, to impregnate it into the children of the next generation. So, whatever we can do to impress the subconscious mind through some sort of active ceremony. And I really do think doing something that is an experiential reward for achieving, I think that's a really powerful way to impress the subconscious mind and to spur it along to the next task that we set our sights on. So I just wanted to add that little bit, because I think that that's an important bit.
I love that. And it reminds me of how you were teaching in public speaking, charismatic presentations, how to resource yourself before presenting with memories from previous achievements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super important, because I remember many times, because I'm kind of a shy guy. People will think, oh, I don't like the spotlight. I don't like to get up on big stages and be in front of everybody. And generally, I'll have my zipper down, or I'll go to the bathroom with my mic on, something really ridiculously stupid like that. Can't tell you how many times that's happened. So, it's like, I'm not one of those, slick, got it down, kind of suave speakers who, does all that stuff. I'm just not. I don't want to be. And I just think it is so vitally important that that you set these positive associations, because I'll be backstage, doing my anchors, my movement that represents all the great things that have happened to me. I make a sound that represents all the great things that have happened to me, and then I see a symbol of all the great things that have happened to me, and I'll roam around backstage firing off my anchor until they finally call me, and then I'm in an upstate. I'm in a peak state, and then I just walk out onto the stage, and then I can do it. But those type of associations of gathering all of our resources that we've experienced and creating an association, either kinesthetic, auditory, or visual, to all those great things, when we repeat it over and over and over again, when we need that resource, and we walk out, and we can have far more power because we have associated ourselves to the best experiences of our lives. And that ends up being a really, really powerful thing. So yeah, try it someday, gang. Run through all the best things of your life and, you know, make a movement, make a sound with the movement, and pick an image that you're going to imagine, and start setting your anchors to every kind of positive thing you've ever done. And then that'll turn out to be a resource you can always have. Antonio, ¿qué pasó?
Yeah, our house is like that. We've filled it with memorabilia, knickknacks, and things that we've accumulated on our various travels around the world.
Yeah.
And also my screensaver on my computer, I've set it up with a rolling slideshow of moments, just like Julie described there, with, you know, sunrises, sunsets, special places that we visited. So there's a constant reminder coming up of all our happy places for exactly that. It puts you in that frame of mind where you're going, wow, I achieved that, and oh, do you remember when we were there? That was so cool. And you know, it's all those, you know, I think I read somewhere that your life, the sum total of your life, it was a Kevin Costner interview, and he was saying the sum total of a man's life is the collection of memories that you've gathered of special moments. You know, if you find like that sunrise over Stonehenge and things like that, those are moments that you can recall instantly, that you've experienced, that have perhaps helped give some meaning to your life as well, that you've achieved those things along the way. And it
You're
could
just a glutton for happiness, aren't you, Tony?
Well, it could be like a, you know, a picnic with friends or something. You know, it doesn't have to be something extraordinary. It could be just a moment that's meaningful to you.
I just love that you surround yourself with positive anchors of happiness. That's awesome.
I'll say it is, and I need to do that more. And what came to mind also was music. I need to put a collection of beautiful music together so that, you know, I can just put it on and go into it, because that is also bliss, isn't it? If you get the right music. And I every night I wake in the middle of the night, you know, 2:30, and I have difficulty getting to sleep again. And you know, I like some music. So I think music can also be a tremendous thing. So if anybody's got any wonderful playlists.
Oh, I do, Julie. Get buy some Deva Perel. She sings from chants from the Sanskrit texts.
Oh,
so Deva Perel.
What was the name?
Deva, D-E-V-A, Perel. And then any of the Gregorian chants are generally really, really powerful as well, very high vibrational. So those would be something that would really anchor you and center you in.
Okay, have you got some playlists?
I don't. I wish I did. I'm afraid you're going to have to hunt those down on your own, but they're really lovely.
I just think that's something that I've just thought of right now through this, that I must do to reward myself.
Good.
Yeah,
good. That would be awesome for you.
Just before,
and I love that, Tony, to have those pictures around of places that you had the most wonderful experiences. And I have had so many of those, and I don't actually have pictures of them. So that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
just quick, let's get Stan while he can talk.
Yes, Stan.
I got big stubby fingers today.
What do you do to make yourself happy, Stan? What do you get at your place?
Well, I think lots of people have covered the nature thing, but I like movies, and movies and books sort of thing. So, and I just kind of watched. I just watched the COVID movie, Raya and the Last Dragon, and was literally made not in a studio, in 400 different houses, as everybody collaborated and got together and put together a whole movie.
Wow.
And I kind of hunted down some of the behind the scenes stuff. So they were, where they normally go to a studio and talk to each other and you know, just have a big like kind of computer lab and animate a whole bunch of stuff. They were all doing it from home. So it was all like lots of funny, and they ended up with, they were talking about it because that's made me search for it, and they're like, dude, you're still muted, was like their little quote. end quote of what they were doing.
Awesome.
I like good inspiring movies more than I like. I mean, I do like good action movies and stuff as well, but good inspiring movies is something that I like to watch.
Oh, Stan, I've got one for you, buddy. It's probably the most awakened movie I've ever seen, and it's called The Shack.
Yes,
I've heard it.
Jack.
If you haven't seen it, see it. It's really worth the watch. You have to watch it several times because it's quite profound, actually. The presupposition suggested in it, it's really, really profound.
I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah, I watched it again not too long ago, and I got so much more out of it. You have to kind of get, if you're not Christian, you kind of have to get bypass a lot of the Christian references. However, it's done as non-denominational Christianity, which is, none of this kind of, sad, vengeful God or Christ died on the cross for you and you should be guilty. It's none of that. It depicts God, the Holy Ghost, or the Holy Spirit, and Christ as someone, as characters, 180 degrees different than what traditional Christianity depicts him at. So it's quite profound. The movie's quite profound.
I've been trying to get hold of it actually, and it's not on any of the Netflix or anything else here.
I was going to say, it used to be. It was on Netflix.
Yeah, I've looked and it's not.
Maybe
They rotate movies as they go.
Yeah, Google Play. Watch it though. It's very beautiful.
Google Play.
Yeah, I've downloaded it. I bought it, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm kind of thinking, I'm a bit concerned it might be a bit heavy, and I'm going to get all teary. And
oh no, you'll definitely get that. You'll definitely get teary, and it is very heavy. But that's what makes the breakthrough on the other side so beautiful.
So I'm preparing myself for that.
Yeah, it's a bit like life, like horror and spiritual awakening all mixed together. It's kind of what I think is so beautiful about it is that the tragedy brings about the awakening, which is rather true for all of us, because none of us really seek until we're in enough pain that we seek. And it becomes quite a beautiful metaphor, no matter how tragic the event, that there is an underlying beauty in the lessons that we learn from the tragedy. And I just find that movie just completely beautiful.
It's one of Martin's favorites too, I think.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well, thank you, everybody. I have heaps of tips now on what I'm going to do to reward myself for my milestones, and I feel like it's going to have to be a lot more immediate rather than setting something out in the distant future. It'll be something like, just celebrating the moment so it can become a resource for me to keep achieving goals. And my kind of motivation for bringing up the topic of happiness was this article I was reading. It was by this lady, Julie Cairns, who is an Aussie, but she was referring a lot to this Dr. Amit Sood, who's from the Mayo Clinic. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's got quite a bit on YouTube, which I'm going to have a look at, and very much about the brain, conscious, subconscious. And he was talking about how the pursuit of happiness, and he had this great quote. Let me see if I can find it. Based on research findings about the brain, because of the way that your brain operates, the pursuit of gratitude and compassion will make you happier than the pursuit of happiness.
Nice.
Yes, and we
read that again, Dee.
I'll actually put it in the group as well. So, because of the way that your brain operates, the pursuit of gratitude and compassion will make you happier than the pursuit of happiness.
I love that.
I'll send it to you. So
would you?
Write it down. You want me to repeat it again?
I'm writing it down. The pursuit of gratitude
And compassion.
and what else? Gratitude and
Compassion.
compassion. I love that. Okay, I have it now.
Mm. And it kind of run true for me, because I'm in a much happier state when I face the day after doing my gratitude journal and appreciating everything that is right in my life and around me. And as I'm also getting a better understanding now, my understanding of love was always about obligation, because I always felt I had to do stuff for my family. Because there's so many things they couldn't do for themselves. But the whole feeling about love has just transformed in the last year or so. And now obligation changed into it being of service, which is very much about the compassion side of things. And I think we can access a lot more happiness if we're being of service. And I think that's a lot of what's going on with the Noble Goldman community here and your desired success. So
That's awesome, Darwin. That is awesome. Is there anything in there about how the brain is wired in order to, because you stated that the pursuit of gratitude and compassion will make you more happy than the pursuit of happiness. That's how the brain is wired. Is there any more information about how the brain's wired to produce that kind of result?
What I might do is actually send you the link to the article, and from there you can access more about Dr. Sood. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, it was very interesting. But
Sweet.
probably better to read the article than just rely on my very short interpretation.
It's all good. You know more than I do about it. So. No, I'll definitely dig into that, because when you think about it, this is what everyone is attempting to do, is they pursue this dream of happiness. I'm working with so many clients right now who are having affairs on their wives, all these men who are having affairs on their wives, of thinking that this new little hot number is going to actually make them happy. And I'm like, oh, dude, it's like, that's just going to be a train wreck waiting to happen. Like, you really, but I don't ever tell anybody what to do. It's just like, you really need to look at what your values are, and you really need to do all kinds of different perspective thinking around this, because you're going to blow up your family, and everybody in it is going to be blown up by this kind of bioptic perspective of your pursuit of happiness, which is really the pursuit of lust. So it's like, you got to wake people up out of the dreams, because they will be deep in it and they become hypnotized like an addict. And it's pretty hard to break them out of it. But yeah, it's super important. Pursuit of happiness is never going to be found in another person's arms. It'll be found inside yourself. So super important to know.
Yeah, and it's interesting with the addiction side that you're talking about, because I know, well, my first long-term partner, we were together for 10 years, and I know he was never unfaithful to me physically, but his energy kind of dispersed, and it was like, okay, well, we're not really together now, so bye-bye. And we stayed friends right up until the day he died. But in every relationship, sorry?
Did I know him?
No, you never met Hans. This was way before I knew you. But every relationship that he got into after that, he was doing the same thing. His energy would he'd just be looking somewhere else, and his energy was different. And even though he was physically faithful, it was still being unfaithful in some way, and it was an addiction for looking for something else to be happy.
Yeah.
Tony, you had your hand up a few times.
Yeah, I was just going to say that happiness is not something to pursue, it's something to be.
Agreed.
And one of the profound books I had that influenced that for me was actually called Being Happy by Andrew Matthews, the cartoonist. If you haven't seen that, it's brilliant, because a cartoon can kind of a picture paints 1,000 words, his cartoons just are really, really incisive into the ways in which we sabotage ourselves or you know, interrupt our own happiness or get in the way of our own happiness. So I'd highly recommend that book, Being Happy by Andrew Matthews.
I'll write that down.
And we learn through stories, and you know, that's why the Aboriginals have managed to maintain so much of their history, is because they tell through stories. Yeah, actually,
Native Americans as well.
yeah. And actually, Mark Santos had a very interesting new metaphor that he was talking about with the second class about the canoe in the ocean. I don't know if I can tell it the way that he does, but I'll have a go. So we're like a canoe in the ocean. The canoe is our body. The ocean is the world as we see it. And we have two oars. One is our thinking and one is our feeling. And if our thinking and feeling don't agree or are not in alignment, then we're rowing against ourselves and we'd get nowhere. But the next evolution is we're not actually one person in a canoe. We evolve into the dragon boat where we're in a team collaborating together to move a lot further. I just thought that was a beautiful description that really is very easy to understand. So, yeah.
You did really well, V. I think I want that one too.
Well, I'm sure
Me
Mark
too.
has spelled
Me too, please.
What was that, Julie?
Me too, of course. Anything. All of those things sound wonderful.
Yeah.
You can have a whole day packed with happiness.
Yeah. Stan, I bet in the Scouts they have a fair bit of storytelling.
We do try and tell yarns. It's definitely a lost art. There's some of the one of the electives that I have not yet got to do, and is run by a couple of guys that are doing it, is the Campfire Elective, about singing songs and telling stories and stuff like that. And occasionally had them on leadership courses and a few things telling us all wonderful stuff. So we try and get it back again, but sometimes we're busy. We're busy trying to do scouty stuff and not focused on the actual storytelling sort of thing.
Gary, you had some really interesting ways of weaving stories into presentations, and I remember learning about them for your presentation courses.
Yeah.
And why do you do that?
Why don't I, or do I do?
Why do you do the why do you weave the story for your presentation? What does it bring?
Well, in the presentation skills training, I do it in an adapted, what they call format system. So you do like a small what, a why, a big what, a how, and then a what if. And all those sections actually appeal to the variety of different ways that people learn and take in information. So what happens is you're capturing everybody through segmenting your talks into those quadrants. So in the let's see, the small what, the why. In the why section, you open up a metaphor, but you leave it dangling, and that is, I would tell the story of the seeker who was seeking the wishing tree. And the wishing tree, was a tree that if you sat underneath it, whatever you thought about and contemplated would like manifest immediately, whatever it was. And so I tell this story, and I would end up finally said, and then he had a thought of a monster. And then suddenly the monster appeared, and then I would leave it dangling. I would just stop talking about the story and I'd just leave it, and then I'd just go on. And people were like, well, what about the monster, right? But I would just leave it. And then I'd get all the way to the end of the presentation, whether it was, 15 minutes, a half hour, or 8 hours. I get to the very end and I would say, remember that monster? and then I would complete the story. And what that does is it first of all, it captures the audience's imagination, kind of opens up the subconscious mind and the imagination for a period of time. And then you're able to fill in the different data, and then you close the loop of that metaphor at the very end. And it ends up being quite impactful for people. So yeah, stories, as I said before, are the way that the indigenous people imprinted the subconscious mind. And super important to do. When I was studying in Hawaii with Uncle George Niobe and some of the kahunas there, it was they simplified the whole idea of consciousness into 3 sections. It was the Uhane, which was the conscious mind, the Unilipili, which was the subconscious mind, and the Kane, which was the high self. And they gave this beautiful metaphor of how each one entraps the other, how the focus of the conscious mind entraps the subconscious mind, how the subconscious mind communicates that attachment to the high self, how the high self knows that the soul's engaged and it has to go wherever the attachment is. And so it's this incredible, simplistic, really simplistic metaphor of how consciousness works. And yeah, I mean, there's so many beautiful ways for people to tell those stories. And the indigenous people, they had it down. They just had it down. So that's why I've just studied so much with indigenous people, because I wanted to know the simplicity of how they had their culture survive for thousands of years just through stories. They were master storytellers. So thanks for asking, B.
Yeah, I remember I did the charismatic presentations a few times, and the first time I was just so overwhelmed, I sat in the corner and cried.
I do happen to dump a lot of information.
But by the last one, I was feeling a lot more confident in myself, and yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I remember that, actually, that training.
But I kept coming back for more.
Yes, you did. You're just a glutton for punishment, aren't you?
I remember during my NLP training, because I had a wonderful trainer too, and how absolutely overpoweringly, not overpoweringly, powerfully wonderful metaphor is as a teaching tool. And I used it as well all the way through with my special needs kid, because the story just, you can detach every person that listens to the story. They become the center of the story, don't they, in themselves? And so it's quite incredible, really, to watch, and it gives you a chance to rest, almost, doesn't it?
Well, you think you're resting, but you're still learning.
Exactly,
Powerfully
learning, you know. And that's why I think it's terribly important what you expose, especially if you're a sensitive person, what you expose yourself to watch, and in the normal media and even the Netflix films. There's some ghastly things to watch, aren't they? Really, really damaging, I think. And so it's really important to be choose things that inspire and move you.
Speaking of stories, everyone should have a read of Tony's blog that he put in Your Desired Success. It is hysterical.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Especially
Hey, Tony. What was it about, Tony? Brief, high level overview. Give it to us.
It was about, well, of course, it bears no resemblance to any living person, you know, so I can't be sued for anything. But let's just say that there are a number of characters with some similarities to people you might know in the Noble Goldman enterprise, and that the hero, the leader of the whole enterprise, is abducted by a very evil fellow, and the band of superheroes has to go and rescue him. There you go. There's a summary.
Sounds intriguing.
very good.
He's in the clutches of the devil, basically, and has to be rescued by all these heroes with their different strengths and skill sets.
Nice.
They had to collaborate, didn't they?
Exactly.
Not unlike the Marvel universe.
This is the kind of Noble Goldman version of the Marvel universe.
Well, I wish I was a clever writer. I would envy that.
You just need to speak, Gary, and you just need someone to transcribe it, and then it's all, yep.
Yep, I know. It's like good things come out of my mouth, and when I try to write, it's like it's complete dysfunction. So I admire people who can speak and who can write as well. So it's a noble skill, that's for sure.
How about just record it?
Oh,
while
I've
you're
done
reading
that.
it?
Oh, but V, I wanted to let you know I'm up to 30 videos on phase 2 of my relationship training.
It's going to be
So,
massive.
Yeah, up to 30. It's going to be a whopper.
Can't wait.
I know, me too.
Mm.
Me too. Get done with that.
Yes, so I'm not sure how much longer Gary's going to be able to do these, because once he's launched into the vault, he's going to be running masterminds through there, which I'll be helping with. So he may not have time for our Wednesday mornings then. So make the most of it while you can. But once you're in the vault, you'll still have a lot of access. So,
Well, I will do my best to see if I can rock up, but we'll see how everything kind of rolls itself out. I'm doing lots right now to create a different type of business for myself. So we will see what happens.
You just need to just book him in for whatever time it is there for him.
Well, I'm always happy to come on board. I've really grown to like you guys a lot, and it's starting to feel more and more like a community, and I think it's awesome. I think it's really awesome.
I think it's awesome too.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just say, I might have a few answers for you in this book.
What's the book? If life's worth doing, it's worth doing
well.
Oh, nice. Is that your book?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
There's quite a bit about happiness and finding happiness in that book.
Sweet. I get such a pleasant vibe when you talk about your wife. It just feels like there's so much love there between you, Tony, and it's lovely to luxuriate in. It feels like a bath of warm oil that just kind of coats you. I know that sounds really weird, maybe a tad bit kinky, but it really does feel really lovely.
Well, she's listening in the background, so I'm sure
tell her some crazy yank just said our love's like a bath of warm oil. Don't ask me where that came from. It just literally came out of nowhere.
She said she's writing it in her journal.
well, there's an Ayurvedic treatment which is all about getting marinated.
That's true.
Shirodara.
That's
It's beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
Very true.
And they drip this oil on your third eye, and it's just so soothing.
Yeah. See, that's what I meant, Tony. Nothing kinky. Nothing oil on the third eye.
But I usually like a bathtub full of like olive oil going.
I should have never said it.
That's your mind, Stan.
Is that what's called a keto diet?
Probably.
Well, we're almost up for the hour. So anybody have any last thoughts to summarize what they've got out of today about happiness and rewarding yourself and goals?
Yeah, I just want to add something actually, that what you were talking about, Gary, with anchoring, is that sometimes it is good to have a little reward that you set aside for the sole purpose of motivating yourself to achieve something, because what it does teach you is the principle of delayed self-gratification. It's so easy to just go and get whatever it is that you want in life and just grab it now, But if you actually consciously deny yourself something until you achieve a goal, then it is teaching you that principle of the work ethic and having to do the work to get the rewards. So there is some benefit in that in terms of goal setting that I would recommend.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I work really, really, really hard for about 3 weeks. And then I go to Santa Fe for a week. I take a week off a month, see 1 or 2 clients during that time, but that's my reward. Work really, really, really hard, take a week off, go to the mountains, be in nature. And it recharges me. So yeah, it's good.
Well, we always like to have something to look forward to as well. So we'll always, you know, if we finish a holiday, we'll always start planning what's the next thing that what's the next adventure, the next exciting thing that we're going to go on. So we've always got something in the works, and usually multiple things, but there's always things that we're looking forward to doing, which doesn't mean that you live your life in the future, but you enjoy the present, knowing there's there is a reward coming for the work that you're doing on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The immediate gratification thing is, I think that's why I've struggled with some of my bigger goals in the past, is because it's too big and I can't achieve it right now. But having the experience this last year or so with Tony's mastermind, as well as with Noble Goldman tools, is to break it down into the milestones and to take action every day, no matter how small. It's action forward, and it does actually create that belief in yourself that you can get to the big goal just by taking little actions every day.
Yeah.
I'd like to actually just back that up so much. I think I've got more out of this mastermind and, a couple of others than I've had out of my whole, or perhaps, I was ready to hear it, but it doesn't matter. I really feel that this comes from a deep level of profound change, change in a positive direction. So, and I'm sure it's the fact that you're so supported by such loving people who have also had their own journeys, and it's brilliant. So thank you all. And now I must go because I've got things to do.
See you, Julie.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Julie.
much, all of you.
So glad you could make it.
Bye.
Okay, gang. I'm out of here. I got stuff. I got a call coming in. So
Okay.
we'll talk to y'all later, okay?
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much, V, for putting this all together every week. You're a rock star. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Always. See you, Tony. See you, Callie. See you, Stan.
Bye.
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 I can't get out.